I found you!
You could plan to a certain point, but then you have to modify. And be gentle with yourself about it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be perfect, and it's going to be different for every person. There are certain things that were in the forefront of my mind, and I've always been a person to sort of go after what I want. And so I kind of set up my circumstances to allow that to happen, whether it's been like working in fashion industry or working in the film industry or taking time to have a family and have kids.
So when you decided to leave Vogue, what were sort of the reasons behind that?
That's a really hard question because I still ask myself sometimes, why did I leave Vogue? Because I love fashion. There's no other place in the world where you are exposed to incredible fashion every day. I was drawn to fashion in the first place because of the magic of it, because it's I grew up in a very strict household, and there was a lot I was not allowed to do. But the one thing I was allowed to do was have fashion and whatever I wanted. And so for me, it was a way to imagine that I could be whatever I wanted to be. So when I left Vogue, I felt like the magic that I had originally been drawn to started to disappear because I was working such long hours and because I felt like I had learned as much as I could learn at that time. But I was in my 20s, and we all do stupid things in our 20s. So I think I had a lot more to learn. But at the time, I felt like, okay, I've done this. I got it. I'm moving on.
And so when you left, did you have a new career in mind? Or were you just like, I'm going to sort of figure it out?
I decided that I could do fashion in Boston. And so I was very lucky because there was a startup magazine in Boston called Platinum, and they needed a fashion director.
Oh.
I knew I had observed so much, and so I knew how to put everything together, no problem. And I didn't even realize how much I knew until I was the fashion director at that magazine, and I was like, this is easy. Like, this is who we call. This is how it works. This is how you set up a photo shoot.
Right.
And I had a lot of confidence from having been Anna Wintour's assistant. I don't know. I guess I'm thankful for how impulsive I was, but I also wish I had just calmed down a little bit and stayed in one spot. But I didn't. That wasn't my personality. If I decided I wanted to do something, I just went after it. So I decided I was going to leave Boston. It didn't feel like the right spot for me at the time. And I decided to move out to Los Angeles and work in the film industry. So when I got to Los Angeles, I temped again. I said, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did in New York and Los Angeles and see if I can break into the industry. But I set a really strong intention. I was like, I want to work at Imagine Entertainment for Ron Howard and Brian Grazer. And so lo and behold, they had a temp job open as Brian Grazer's assistant, and I got that, and then interviewed for the position and got that job.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I bet they were like, yeah, she can handle Anna Wintour, she can handle LA film industry. So how long did you work with them?
About a year, and it was again, I mean, I was super lucky. I went on the movie sets, and we went, he was living in a house up on Malibu at the time, and we went up there, and he was very open with his life, similar to Anna Wintour in that way, that he was willing to make you an apprentice, like, come along with me and I'll teach you everything I know. And so that was fascinating. But I was hoping to start a family. I felt like, it's funny, I dated somebody at the time, I was, I think, like 27, and I was going on all these different dates out in California, and the person I was dating said to me, I'm breaking up with you because you are too old. And I know. So I decided, I was like, well, maybe Los Angeles is not a good spot to find a husband. I need to maybe go back to the East Coast.
Yeah.
I came back and I did meet my husband, and
what sort of happened to your creative ambitions at that point?
They were the same. I was painting, and I did, my husband will always say to me, I veered away from fashion for a little bit. I thought maybe I would do insurance or something, that brought home like a paycheck that I was like, that was very secure, that could build on, and it sort of diverted from who I was as a person. I'm like, well, maybe I need to be in insurance. I had a really short-lived insurance job. When I got married, I asked my husband, I'm like, do you mind if I take off a little bit of time to write a book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was your next creative ambition.
Yes. I'm always kind of revisiting, my childhood and how much fashion sort of was a way for me to sort of escape and be excited and, look at the world with fresh eyes every day. And it's always moving forward, and that's what I love about it. So I thought, I want to write a book that reaches into that time period in life. So I wrote a tween novel about these 5 girls and a boy who start their own fashion magazine in school, and they're in 8th grade. Oh. And and so I just had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
And I basically used all my experiences at Vogue and sort of, it's completely fiction, but it's sort of modeled after the type of people you would meet in the fashion industry.
Yeah.
Which for me are like the most incredible people, because they're so eclectic, and I just love creative energy, and I love people that have a lot of personality. Mm-hmm. I kind of wanted to make girls everywhere feel like they can become whatever they want to. They just have to decide to do it. So that was my motivation behind the book. When I sold the book, I self-published the book, and you can buy it on Amazon. It's called Dress Code, and the series is called The Fashion Diaries. I'm working on the next book right now, actually. So I published the book, and I'm thinking, nobody's going to read this book. It's really? But I had fun, and now I've got to I've got these babies. It's been an awesome diversion. Great. And then I had a few girls get in touch with me from Peru on Twitter, and she said, she goes, I thought this was a series. Like, when's your next book coming out?
Oh
and
my
so
gosh.
That was really nice. Yeah. I was mostly excited about this girl from Dorchester, Massachusetts, who reached out to me and said, hey, I read your book, and I decided to launch my own fashion magazine because of it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I thought, how can I bring this to more girls? And that's where I came up with the idea of starting a fashion camp for girls to start their own fashion magazine. Then, obviously I will mentor them and give feedback, but I'm also trying to create a community of people who want to connect through fashion. And I just want people to be able to explore, what's in their heart when it comes to fashion. Like, what gets them excited? What kind of story do they want to tell? For me, the fashion magazines are all about storytelling, and it's really cool because it's just it can be a little snippet, it can be a big story, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah. I guess the broad question is, how do you do it?
Am I doing all of that?
Yeah. And like on top of being a mom and raising your 4 kids.
You should ask my husband this question. I realized through the course of time that when I was just a stay-at-home mom, I was just not that happy. Yeah. So I had to bring writing in, or fashion back in, or the things that make me tick and make me excited. And then my kids' issues or excitement or desires don't seem like that big of a deal.
Yeah.
If someone's flipping out and something spilled on the floor, or they didn't get the toy they wanted, it's not like my beginning and end too. Mm-hmm. It stays in child land, and I'm like, because I know in the back of my head I'm also always thinking about work, the camp. I have something else to divert my adult intellectual attention.
Yeah. I think that's so great, and I think it's so important for women like you who are moms and who are sort of driving their own career path to speak about that, because like I have a lot of friends who are obviously working in creative fields, and they say, how am I gonna like be a dancer or a choreographer and raise kids, or how am I gonna like be able to do it all? And I just think it's so important to hear people like you like tell their story and be honest about it, because not a lot of people do. They just say, oh, I have a nanny, or I have this, or I just stopped working altogether. And I think it's so cool that you've obviously made sacrifices, but you're finding a way to do all the things that you really enjoy.
You know, you're told that you can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
You can have, and you can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Can you do it all well?
Right.
You can do it all well. You just have to know what you need yourself. And I think, can you be a dancer and a choreographer and have kids? Of course. Definitely. But it may not be the picture you had in your head.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like any kind of collaboration with other people. You have this idea that you set out, and then you go to do it, and you have to roll with it and work with it. And I feel like that is how I've had to do my life.
Yeah.
I couldn't have imagined how I would do it all and how I would get it all done. I just moved forward and did it.